What's good, DMV Sports Zone? It's Noah. It's been a while. Hope you guys have a great Christmas, great holiday, heading to the new year. We're in a very interesting situation right now. COVID has been nothing short of, a possible season stopper for both the NHL and the NBA. We saw how that affected the Washington football team. We don't need to go into that. Fantasy football season is pretty much over. So we're going to be focusing, obviously, on the Washington Wizards and the Washington Capitals today. There's a bunch of players out with COVID, but we do know, one man's misfortune can be another man's opportunity. And there are a couple players, both for the Capitals and for the Wizards, that have a real chance of breaking out. So before I get started, again, all my fantasy sports analytics information is coming from Sport AI. We just added the NBA, the platform, only a week and a half ago. So if you haven't downloaded the app and want to have an edge on your fantasy basketball season, the link to the download and more information is in the bio. Without further ado, let's get started.
Welcome back to DMV Sports Zone.
Chased down by Beal in the corner for three, gets fouled and hits.
Welcome to DC.
They tag him out.
You know where you're at the USA Cap. You're taking it slightly. I'm taking it slightly. Now how you gon' act when you gon' be right back. When we gon' be right here. We gon' be right here. We ain't going nowhere. Welcome to DC. DC, the home of Chuck Brown. Oh, you don't know the sound? Well, let me break it down.
Yeah, so first things first. Let's talk about the Wizards. So, the Wizards have nothing short of being hit with a disaster when it comes to COVID protocols. As of this video, Montrezl Harrell has added to the list of already 7 players that's in COVID protocol. And most notably, Bradley Beal, Rui Hachimura, Raul Neto, Aaron Holiday, Montrezl Harrell, and Anthony Gill. Of course, not a lot of these players are key fantasy players, but Beal and Harrell are huge losses. With Bryant and Hachimura both out with protocol, in COVID protocol now, their returns have been delayed. So Hachimura was actually projected to play for the first time this season this week, but now he's probably going to have to wait until 2022, next year, to play. Thomas Bryant was almost back from conditioning. He's going to be delayed as well into mid to late January. So this is, not a good situation for the Wizards. However, if you held on to Dinwiddie, if you held on to Avdija, then this is the opportunity you're waiting for. So Dinwiddie, obviously he's getting more of the ball possession, and he's really a ball-dominant guard, even though, he does have vision. And I've noticed that you can see on the floor, him and Beal sometimes struggle to play together. But with Beal out, Dinwiddie's getting the chance to be the ball-dominant guard that he was in the past. Avdija as well is getting more ability to, show his multifaceted skill set, which is not, he's average in real life, but in terms of fantasy, it makes him incredibly valuable because it makes his floor very safe. A lot of times with fantasy basketball, it's like fantasy football. Sometimes you just need, one or two players to give you a guaranteed decent night, nothing of a huge explosion, and Avdija brings that to the table. With his increase, he was averaging only 19 minutes a game prior to all these COVID issues. He's now averaging 25. That's a huge minute increase. As a result, his stats are showing it. He's contributing as a rebounder, as a playmaker, gets steals, as well as points. Again, all in minimal volumes, but when you combine all together, it makes a solid fantasy play. So Avdija, if he's on the waivers, because he actually is only owned in around 38% of ESPN leagues, he is a valuable pickup for the time being. Obviously, with long-term value, really into question, but if he continues to play well, maybe he can carve out a bigger role in the rotation, even when the team is healthy. So let's talk about the Capitals as well. The Capitals have also had similar issues with COVID, except their status right now was a little more positive because Nicholas Backstrom and Evgeny Kuznetsov are back in the lineup. That's going to be a huge addition, considering that we already have lost Justin Schultz, Vida Vanacek, as notables that are on COVID protocol. And, of course, that changes all the time. But we've also lost Nick Jensen now recently, Dennis Cholowski, TJ Oshie. All these guys are valuable members of the blue line core, and Oshie in case of the forwards. So in terms of who can emerge and continue to play well, and with a lot of these minutes to be had, keep an eye on Lars Eller. So Lars Eller has had some injury issues recently, but he's starting to really take the opportunity to get more power play time, and he's really boosted up his fantasy scoring ability. So Lars Eller is someone to look at as well. Obviously, we were talking about Tom Wilson. At this point, he's not owning too many leagues, but Lars Eller definitely is. So that's someone to look at. Possibly Connor Sheary as well. Connor Sheary is currently dealing with a non-COVID related injury, so again, he's to monitor. But I think Sheary and Eller are the two players that benefit the most from the forwards. In terms of the defensemen, I mean, Carlson's obviously rock solid, but Dmitry Orlov's value could increase. In terms of his minutes, they're not really going to increase that much, outside of increased shorthanded time on ice, which doesn't really always translate to fantasy points. If you do count fantasy shorthanded points in your fantasy league, though, perhaps it's worth increasing his value. But overall, it stays the same because Ilya Samsonov at this moment is the healthy goalie. Only Vanacek's in the protocol, so NHL is very hard to predict because they've already canceled last week. They already canceled almost all the games. This week, multiple games are getting postponed. We know the NHL traditionally takes a much more cautious and aggressive approach when it comes to, shutting down the season, lockdowns. They were the first to do it last time in 2020 with the with the NBA following suit. So I don't see any exception there because you already saw with the Olympics, the NHL players aren't going because of COVID concerns. So, man, it's hard to predict, but, I'm here for you guys, trying to provide the most up-to-date information. And again, for the Wizards side, fantasy-relevant players are on the rise. Dinwiddie and Avdija, especially Avdija's that waiver wire gem. Lars Eller, Connor Sheary, guys to look out from the waiver wire for the Capitals. But with Backstrom and Kuznetsov back, Sheary's going to be downgraded tremendously. But Eller still holds a lot of value because they are still missing a lot of their key power play points. They might move Ovechkin back to the point like they did back in the day. They were doing that during practice, moving him back to the right side point with John Carlson. So if Eller continues to play on that first unit, especially with Oshie out, they could benefit him tremendously. So again, it's a pretty quick video. I know it's been it's been a minute, but travel and the holidays was good for me, and a good break. So I'm glad to come back and provide some more information. With the COVID protocols, things change every day. So who knows? You might see this video and the players I mentioned as waiver wire steal could be in protocol. So the best to do is to keep an eye out, and you can keep all track of that on the Sport AI app. So again, link is in the bio. And without further ado, guys, I really hope you have a great new year. Hope this quick tidbit of information can provide you fantasy advantages in basketball and hockey. And without further comment, let me know your thoughts, and have a great